Okay, let's just get right to it. In a world that's changing faster than you can blink, have you ever just stopped and asked yourself, what is school really for? I mean, is the whole point just to cram for tests and hopefully land a decent job? Or should it be about something more? Something that actually helps us learn how to live a good life? So, in this explainer, we're going to dig into that exact question. First, we'll look at what's maybe a little broken with our current system. Then, we'll explore this really powerful alternative called human flourishing. You'll see how experts from totally different fields are, believe it or not, on the same page. We'll check out a new model for learning that could honestly change everything. And finally, we'll get practical. How do we actually make this stuff happen in our schools? All right, let's jump into our first big question. Education for what? It sounds simple, but the way we've been answering it seems to be causing some major issues. There's this growing sense that, something is just fundamentally off balance in our schools right now. I mean, we're seeing what feels like a mental health crisis just unfolding among students. And it's not just them. Stress levels are through the roof for teachers, too. And all of this is happening while we're more obsessed than ever with high-stakes testing. It really, really makes you wonder, are we completely missing the point? For decades, one single idea has pretty much shaped the entire education system. It's called human capital theory. Think of it this way. It says your skills and your knowledge are basically a form of capital, like money. The more you accumulate, the more productive you are as an employee, and poof, the economy grows. That's been the driving logic. And this really puts a critical choice right in front of us. On one path, you've got the human capital view, where the goal is all about prepping students for economic production. But on the other path, you have the well-being perspective. Here, the goal is to equip students to live well, to truly flourish. It's a massive difference, right? Are we preparing kids for a job, or are we preparing them for a life? Okay, so if that old model is starting to feel a little restrictive, what's the alternative? Well, there's this incredible movement picking up steam, often called the well-being education movement. And right at its heart is this beautiful, powerful idea, human flourishing. So before we get to flourishing, let's start with the basics. Well-being. It's actually a super simple concept. It just means that, hey, a person's life is going pretty well. It's that general sense that things are good, that you're doing okay. But flourishing, now this is where it gets really good. It's so much more than just well-being. It's not about a fleeting moment of happiness. We're talking about ongoing growth, about actually fulfilling your potential, and about building a life that feels deeply meaningful and satisfying. It's just a richer, more complete picture of what a good life can be. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this sounds nice, but maybe a little fluffy? But here's the thing, and this is what's so wild. This idea isn't coming from some niche corner of the world. It's a point of serious agreement between some of the heaviest hitters in philosophy and psychology. I mean, check this out. We've got ancient wisdom from guys like Aristotle, modern political philosophy about freedom, and then cutting-edge psychological science from fields like self-determination theory and positive psychology. The fact that all these different groups are landing on the same idea, that's a big deal. And here's what they all have in common. Aristotle said a great life has to be both excellent and feel good. Liberalism says we absolutely need the freedom to figure out for ourselves what makes life fulfilling. Self-determination theory points to these basic psychological needs we all have: autonomy, competence, and feeling connected. And positive psychology comes in and says, hey, guess what? The skills for this stuff can actually be taught. They're all using different words, but they're pointing to the exact same North Star. A good life is an active, meaningful, and connected one. So if all these brilliant minds are on board, what does that actually look like in a school? How do we build an entire system around this idea of flourishing? Let's connect the dots. Okay, let's break down this model. It's actually pretty straightforward. It all kicks off with the educational environment. So when a school is supportive, when it meets students' needs, and gives them things to do that feel important, it sparks high-quality learning. And listen, we're not talking about just memorizing dates for a history test. No way. This is about discovering your real strengths, finding your passions, and developing a deep understanding. And that type of learning, that is what leads to lifelong flourishing. This all sounds fantastic, right? But the million-dollar question is always, how do we actually do it? How do we take this amazing theory and bring it to life in a real classroom on a real Tuesday morning? Let's talk about that. So, yeah, how do we bridge that gap? How do we get from here to there? Well, the great news is this isn't just wishful thinking. There are clear, concrete steps that schools can start taking, like tomorrow. Okay, so first up, Create environments where students feel they have some control, where they feel competent, and where they feel connected to others. Second, shift the focus to the quality of engagement. Let's make learning about personal growth, not just about getting a good grade. And third, we need to rethink discipline. Move away from punishment and towards problem-solving and restorative practices that actually build community. These are totally achievable goals. And this really gets to the core ethical argument here. Think about the incredible influence we have over kids' lives in school. The authors of the paper we're looking at put it perfectly. They said, nothing short of promoting the forms of learning and development that are conducive to everyone living well can ethically justify what we do to children in educating them. Wow. In other words, if our goal isn't helping everyone live well, we're failing, ethically. And so I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. If we all say that education's purpose is to prepare us for life, then shouldn't the main subject be, well, learning how to live? Maybe the most important class of all isn't math or science, but the art and science of living a good life. What do you think?